Welcome back to IGN Live at San Diego Comic-Con 2018. This is one of the biggest celebrations of pop culture on the planet, and we're here breaking down all the huge announcements, trailers, and special guests.
Over the past few years, Amazon has firmly established itself as a contender when it comes to original streaming TV. One of their most anticipated shows of the year is a new take on a beloved Tom Clancy character.
Here to talk about Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, please welcome to the show, showrunners Carlton Cuse and Graham Rowland. Thanks so much for joining us, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so Tom Clancy, I mean, epic writer, so many stories. Why did you guys pick this one?
Well, we actually created our own story.
Okay, so it's like an adaptation then?
No,
It's just
actually
like its own story.
It's,
Okay, but it's taking the character.
We took
Okay.
three
Okay,
characters.
sorry.
We took three characters from Tom Clancy's world: Jack Ryan, Jim Greer, and Kathy Mueller, who's Jack Ryan's wife. And then we built a whole brand new story. And the reason we did that is that Clancy really, at his time, wrote these geopolitical thrillers of the moment, and adapting any of the books felt like it would be dated. So we created our own thriller about Middle East terrorism that's very now, it's very 2018. And so our goal was to really give the audience a deep dive into something that, you know, would feel like it's really happening in the world today.
Okay. Anything to add?
I
was like...
You look like you had something there.
Yeah, sorry.
No, other than, you know, we were huge Tom Clancy fans, and it was just an amazing opportunity to get to bring this to television. You know, obviously we're fans of the books as well as the movies, but we get to do a lot more story.
I mean, the thing that was great is that, you know, there have been 5 Tom Clancy movies made, but they're all 2-hour movies. We are making like an 8-hour movie, which really allowed us to tell the story in a lot more depth. Clancy wrote these 800-page books, and you can't reduce those to a 2-hour movie very effectively. And so the feeling of the sort of mosaic storytelling, the deep dive, the real kind of in-depth, authentic look at what it's like to be a spy on a case, we could do that in 8 hours.
Now, this is Jack Ryan is being played by John Krasinski, and this is the fifth actor to portray him. I spoke to you guys at New York Comic-Con last year, and at that point, he was the guy from The Office, and now he's the guy from A Quiet Place, which is a very different role. What was it like, kind of picking him as an action hero, but not quite? You know, he's like a...
I mean, the best part was that he actually got to do dialogue in our show.
That's true.
No, I mean, go ahead.
No, I mean, John was the first and only person we went to. And when we sold this project, Carlton told me that, you know, we can write the best show ever, but if we don't have the right Jack Ryan, it's not going to work. And so we started thinking as we were writing and working out the first 4 episodes, like, who is going to embody Jack? And it's, in a way, it's less pressure because there's been, you know, 4 Jack Ryans previous as opposed to just one. So people are ready to see how each actor kind of brings their own spin to the character. So that was good. And I think that John, as you said, we knew him from The Office, and we were looking for somebody who was going to make the transition in the CIA from being an office guy to being out in the field. And John had that relatability from being in The Office, but we had also just seen 13 Hours, and so he was also a believable action hero. And we felt like, you know, this guy comes across as charming, he's smart, he's charismatic, and he has all of the sort of wholesome kind of like relatability that you want Jack Ryan to have. He just felt like the perfect sort of classic hero.
I like that. Now, I'm curious. I'm a big James Bond fan, and I've read all the books, and I love the Ian Fleming thing, but when you ask somebody who's the best Bond, depending on if you're talking to someone who's read the books or just watches the movies, you get a very different answer. What do you think, like, the defining Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan is based on Tom Clancy's original creation?
I mean, I think the guy up until now who's done the best is Harrison Ford, and he was really kind of the model when we started. Now that we've done season 1, and we're actually going to have shot 2 months of season 2 before season 1 drops. I think John Krasinski gives him a run for his money.
Absolutely.
You know, John has basically the superpower of Jack Ryan as a character is his brain, and John is a really smart guy. But he also is charming and funny and very much of an everyman, and we really wrote to those qualities that Krasinski has. And you know, I think our goal is nothing less than to make him everybody's favorite Jack Ryan.
With these types of shows, I feel like it's so important to have a great villain. What do you think makes a great villain? Do you think that they need a little bit of humanity, or do they need to be like pure evil? What do you guys think?
Absolutely, a little bit humanity. And that was something that we were very intent on. If you've seen the pilot, it's, you know, the teaser, and well, I don't want to give anything away, but we go through.
No spoilers.
You came so close to spoiling everything.
Tell us it all. Yeah. Exclusive. Just
No,
kidding.
we'll have to, you know, he was in the Marines, but I still would have to, like, you know, try to wrestle him to the ground if he did that, so.
Talk to us about that, though. Like, what makes a great villain then?
Layered, complex, and I think that you have to be able to relate to him, and even if you don't agree with the decisions he's making, you kind of want to see his perspective, and we took great pains to do that in all the episodes, and to show that, you know, there is a person and there is a life experience behind this character and behind what he's doing. And yes, he's doing horrible things, but you have to look at it from his perspective.
Now, obviously, this is a very political show, and there's always something going on someplace in the world. But I feel like you say, you know, stuff going on in the Middle East is very 2018. Obviously, the Middle East has always got something going on, but everyone's talking about Russia right now. How do you see, like, kind of politics intersecting with how you create the show? Are you going to kind of respond to what's happening outside of it, or? I
mean, it's hard because it's you know, you're sort of chasing a news cycle, and I don't think that's the best thing to do. You know, I think the first season, I think the thing that's really relevant about the show is that it celebrates the professionalism of people who work for the government. You know, that's what Clancy did. He put forth in his books that, like, the people who work for the military and the intelligence community were competent, professional, apolitical people who were just trying to keep us safe. And that's the premise of our show. And I think a show that celebrates the professionalism of the people who are working on our behalf in the government right now is something that I think everybody can embrace, regardless of where you stand politically.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with these action shows, I feel like it's so important to balance a good plot and action. So how did you guys approach that?
I mean, we obviously wanted to do a show that had action and had scope and traveled the world, and that was important to us. That was important to Amazon. But we also didn't want to do it just for action's sake. And so everything we did, you know, we felt like, okay, the story has to take us there. It has to be warranted. It has to come organically. And I feel like, you know, Amazon gave us the resources to make a great action show. But at the end of the day, people come back for character and drama.
Thank you. Now, obviously, it's all going to come out at once in a whole season?
You know, it's the streaming thing. On August 31st, all 8 episodes are going to drop.
Do you recommend binge watching it or letting it sink in?
I recommend binge watching it. I mean, we made it as really like an 8-hour movie, and if you have the tolerance to sit for 8 hours, you should sit for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah,
Right.
Thank you
guys.
Yes. And coming up, Deadly Class jumps from the page to the small screen next year, and we have the cast stopping by in a little bit. Then later, we talked to Jamie Lee Curtis about her return to the Halloween franchise. IGN Live at Comic-Con continues after this.